Hey guys, welcome to Boll Raw. USA Podwork, a podcast network, and we are here at the Big Picture with me, Gary Otto, and Dr. Uwe Boll. Hello, my friend.
Hello. And we don't start today with uh,
Politics.
politics. Let's start with the little films. We just started talking about an article I got. Ted Hope is doing he was the ex-Amazon boss, but he's an independent filmmaker and producer since years now. And he had a little article from Karen Sheen. I think she's a documentary filmer. And she said a few good things about the state of the industry. And it's the first line, what I really liked is this here. My research showed that when an industry operates without a viable economic model, other behavior comes into play. Financing, for example, becomes accessed primarily through relationships. And then the line here from a producer of Color, power consistently attaches funding to relationships rather than hard skilled. And I think that is something we talked about it a long time when you came up with Weinstein a few shows ago. And I think it's obvious, based on the film quality, what comes out there, that not the most visionary, edgy filmmakers making films. You pointed out Robert Rodriguez, like, where is he, right? So, I mean, I think
Even Robert Rodriguez can't get a film made because his relationship was with Weinstein, not with the power players in Hollywood. And that's the industry shrinking, my friends. There's a lot of actors that were under Weinstein, like Clive Owen. You don't see him anymore because all of these people's careers were kind of married to their relationships with people in the Weinsteins. So is Hollywood growing or is it shrinking?
yeah, but it's also like what I think is, and in the article, the next line is very interesting too, where she said, it leads all to an urgent question. Do we find ourselves in a field where only those with celebrity privilege wealth can keep making documentaries or art house films? And it's also kind of visible. You have Harry and Meghan making docus. The Obamas have $100 million deal and making docus. So if they like you, you make a documentary. If not, you're fucked. Like, you're out of the game. And that's the thing, and it's also one thing, like, that narrative documentary films are now everything what is there. They are scripted. There are only scripted documentaries getting done anymore. Not this kind of, I film something, I find out what's going on during I film it, and I build my opinion during I film it. No, all that streamers want, like, scripted documentaries after the fact something happened, and then everybody knows already the ending, or they don't give a green light for a documentary. And I think all of this shows this kind of danger of everybody follows the same rules.
Yeah.
I think it's insane, and it plays into what Bill Mayer in the New Rules yesterday said in regards of it's time to cancel the people who cancel people. I mean, it's this kind of, because this is also what Hollywood has in the grip. It's this kind of, there is no more storytelling. It's only storytelling under the umbrella of these are the rules. And it's not only story-wise the rules, but also who you work with. What are your actors, And I think
That's why freaking Yellowstone was such a hit, don't you think? Because it was something that they invested in from the right that normally wouldn't fit their agenda. And look what a big hit it was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with the Taylor Sheridan thing. I'm watching Lioness right now, the second season. And even if I disagree with a lot of political things in, I have to say, Lioness, and it's always like the Americans are the best, have the best teams, the best action, the best Navy SEALs, whatever. And it's all the Chinese now in the second season of Lioness. They moved away from Iraqis or whatever, and now it's all the Chinese. But the thing is that it's a refreshing, the Taylor Sheridan stuff is refreshing because
Yes.
it looks like he didn't get that diversity writers, and it looks like he didn't get this kind of, you need to cast that person and you need to have somebody like this, and you cannot be macho. You can, because his shows are all macho. He's himself, he plays in Lioness, he plays a seal guy basically, and he's full of steroid muscles. He looks like he really buffered up to be an actor again, and it's really like visible steroids, right? So
So what you're saying is that there's like more room for stuff like this. There's more room in Hollywood that Hollywood isn't willing to tap into just because of their willful ignorance. It's like a will, because there is money to be made there, obviously,
yeah.
but they're not willing to go there because they're allowing politics and partisan lines to infiltrate Hollywood, the filmmaking. That's what you're saying.
And you know, when this week there is a film festival somewhere, and Steve McQueen, the black director from England who doing a lot of successful art house films, right? He he stepped back from that festival. He didn't want to show his new movies there because the festival director wrote an op-ed basically saying, and I read it on purpose, basically just saying, okay, we should not have a must work with a female DP only because we want to support female DPs. No, it's like people should do the jobs they are good at, right? And you should not force directors to have an Asian and black, a transgender person in your crew, right? And I say it harder as it was in the article. The article was very liberal written. It was not so
Yeah,
hard.
yeah.
I say it now, right? But it was enough to move this film out, and then that Emilia Paris film, whatever, with Zoldana nah, um,
And you know, I want to be clear about something that you
also
just
out.
said.
They
Like,
also went out.
you know, not the we're not saying banning transgender people from working on
Right.
sets,
No.
nothing like that. What is being said is like it's not a requirement. And you know, in this day and age, I feel like we have to be very clear on the podcast. We have to be very clear about what we say because people online will latch on to one small part of what we say, one small part out of context. And then like that's why they were like, oh, he's a Russian sympathizer and all this other shit. Do you know what I mean? People will jump to these extremes. That's the day and age that we live in. So I'm just gonna clarify that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. But we say it, and I say it for years and years and years in all our podcasts. When it started already, I said, look, I think people should get hired based on their qualification only, and not
Yeah.
based on their race, religion, skin color. Period.
Yeah.
And that was also the spirit we did Postal in, where I said in various screenings when I went to the movie theaters to talk to the audience, that it's no religion, no races, no nations. It's this kind of, that's freedom. You know, I mean,
Mhm.
real freedom would be if you don't need anything anymore, if you don't need borders, if you don't need it, right? And of course, that was way too early, way too far thinking. But I
Well, you know, I just want to say that it's true that the most qualified person in film definitely deserves it. And I believe that, I hate to say, in politics too. I'm not going to go there today, but I think that in politics, just like in film, it shouldn't be based on anything but whoever's the most qualified individual, like whoever's gone to school the most, whoever has the best vision, whoever's the most talented. That's what it should always be about. So sorry.
Yeah, no,
I
no,
didn't-
no. And of course, we all know, and I do it myself too, there are some crew people you like and you keep working with, right? My DP is Matthias Neumann in now like 33 movies. So I'm not changing my DP no matter what writer I would get from, you know, like I give a fuck. It's like there are some people in every film crew, I think they're set, and you say, I have a good relationship with this composer or this editor or whatever, I keep working with them. And that should
Yeah,
be,
Spielberg uses his own
and
crew. So does George Lucas. So do you, you know?
yes, you know, and then to everybody else, it's just like who's available, what are the costs, what are, and then who I think can do a good job. And I think in what you said, like in an ironic way, it's so funny because now in Germany, the German press trashes all the Trump pigs, right? Whatever he wants to put in things like Matt Gates, he gets completely destroyed everywhere in the media. And I agree that Matt Gates should get destroyed in the media. And I think it's an absolutely shame and absurd to make him anything. So, but wait, these are then
No, I'm not saying a word. I'm
no,
okay.
but these are then in Germany people saying like, so Saskia Esken, the general manager basically of the Social Democratic Party in Germany, she was a street musician, right?
Okay.
So, and joined the party and climbed up the ranks. And the second guy from the Social Democrats who stepped back already was working in a call center. That was his education. So, and that's what I mean. Like this, people say that whatever Trump says, RFK Jr. is not qualified, but they also are not qualified because most of the time in countries around the globe, the politicians are not really qualified because then there wouldn't be politicians. Politicians are mostly full of shit talkers who doesn't really know they had a stint there. I was 3 years at the army. I worked 3 years at the bank, but they're not really having a career. Otherwise, they would not be in politics.
Yeah,
And
the only thing with the like RFK, there was something I read about RFK Jr. with like, hold on a second. Um,
yeah, but look, I listened to a lot of talk shows with him. He was at Bill Maher, he was at Joe Rogan, whatever, and he repeatedly said he's not against vaccines.
no,
He's
what happened was this. This is what happened. This is what I read, and this is what I'm scared of his influence is okay, he's going to give people a choice. I get that. Maybe some kids might get sick who don't deserve to get sick. It's none of my business, but that's not quite what the point is. The point of what I'm saying is okay, on Samoa, there was 2 infant deaths because of the nurses fucking up. Normally, the vaccines have to be cut with water, and the nurses cut it with like a muscle relaxant. So these nurses fucked up. It wasn't the vaccine itself, it was the fact that they cut it with muscle relaxant. So it was negligence on these individual nurses' parts. RFK Jr. comes in. He seizes the opportunity to peddle, you know, that it could be the vaccines themselves.
But it was
The
not the COVID vaccine, right? It was a
It was
different.
not. It was for fucking what is it? Hold on a second. It was for
Yeah, or
measles. It was for the measles. So on Samoa, he got a lot of people scared because of these 2 infant deaths that measles shots were harmful to the health and yada yada bing bong. 85,000 people got sick because one tourist had the measles and came in, got 85,000 adults sick, um, and like 84 kids died. Like a lot of kids died. And you can look it up. So I'm just afraid that
I mean, I had the measles. I got the measles vaccine when I was a baby, but I had the vaccine, and
it,
I got the measles. I mean, later, I think I was 11 or 12 years old and I got the measles. I think normally the measles are not really deadly at all, right? I mean, I don't know anybody who died of the measles, to be
if you
honest.
have a compromised immune system, if you're young and you're a child and you don't have a fully developed, that's why all the deaths were kids. All these other people got sick. But if you you know, if you give people the idea of unsurety, if you give people like, they start to question their reality. They start to question, is this good for my kids or is this not? It's like you're kind of playing with fire because what if somebody does get sick? What if somebody does die? I think he'll put that sort of like that questionable uncertainty out there more, and people will be more apt to deny the vaccines. And then it could lead to more deaths all around. And that's the point that's being made is like, it's not really that he's going to come in and fucking turn the world upside down. But I think just human nature, giving people that choice. I
Look,
think that
the stocks of the pharmaceutical companies went
it went
drastically.
down. Yeah.
But to be honest, wait, I have to let the dog out. But I'm a big supporter of his saying to say we want to make America healthy again. We want that obesity gets fought, and it's not getting fought only with Ozempic. It should be fought in the schools already. That you don't
Yeah.
get a bag of chips. That you
Yeah,
get.
no, I mean like what Schwarzenegger did with George W. Bush. I remember that. I was actually in schools when Schwarzenegger came out and was visiting middle schools all across America, and he was toting the importance of health and physical fitness. And most kids in the schools were so impressed that Arnold Schwarzenegger came out that it made a big difference. I think that Bush Senior did a great job with trying to, with not just the Just Say No, which I would have no problem with Just Say No coming back. Just Say No was spearheaded by Nancy Reagan. It was a national, I don't know how effective it was, but it was a campaign for the youth to know that drugs are not the answer and the option. They tried to integrate it into all forms of media. They had like it in Saturday morning cartoons and yada yada bing bong. And but my problem with RFK Jr., because I will praise the Republicans when they do things right, things like that.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid, and like I said, with Trump being a liar, I'm not sure if we're, because Trump wants to prosecute the media. There's all this stuff that's going to come up. He's going to try and do that. Maybe it will be harder to hear um, transparency about government or transparency about things that involve our lives. I just feel that there's. I don't believe them. I don't believe that they are going like it's like big promises, but then what are they doing in the backdrop? What is being sacrificed here? I don't know if I trust them, is what I'm saying. I don't trust Trump at all. I don't trust Trump to tell the truth. I don't trust his administration to do what's right, what's morally right. I don't trust them to do what's right for the people or the country. I don't know if they're going to lead our future for our country to be American superiority into the next century, or if they're only looking for their own individual benefits, if they are truly the swamp and the deep state just pretending to be these saviors. Because Trump is full of shit. And that's what I'm afraid of. Is that if he was at his word, all his promises at his word sound fucking wonderful. However, I don't fucking believe a single fucking word. And the people he surrounds himself with are scumbags. So nothing is making me believe any of that bullshit. His wake, his everything in his wake says don't believe it. So I don't fucking believe it. I'm gonna go with my experience and
So
with the who he chooses
your,
to surround himself with. You know what I mean?
your experience and like how you see it. I have to say, um, I'm uh, torn because we have
Mm.
in Germany also right now a completely tumultuous government breakup. And it's a similar situation to what I think Bill Mayer in his new rules brought really to the point is, and in the discussion too with Mario Kumorak in the last show, but also forget Bill Mayer for now, but also even if we talk together, is this. Uh, we have one side of politics. It obviously, and in Germany it was the government. In the US it was, I think, the ideas of Kamala Harris also. It doesn't work. You cannot have 10 million illegal immigrants coming in, and you cannot have San Francisco shutting down and LA, and you cannot like shoplift and you don't get prosecuted, and you cannot have and you don't want, but like in the very end, hundreds, thousands of homeless people. You cannot have that. You can also not have a culture where what was this? Any celebrity who says I vote Republican never gets a job again. But that's the culture we had and the culture we still have, to be honest, right? So, and that
But
everybody
turning
has.
it around so it's against Democrats is not the fucking answer, do you
No, no, but
think?
wait. And then Trump, when you say he will go after the media, okay, but what did the media against him and the Republicans? I mean, 90% of the media have had nothing else to do since 4 years as to really point him out as Hitler and to really completely viciously attack the whole party, not only him. And
If you
that
remove a free press, then what the fuck do
now
we
it's
have?
wait 1 second. I have to. The earpods are connected. Uh,
Uh-oh.
wait, select the speaker. Built-in output internal. But you hear me, right? You hear me.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
That was for a moment what. So, but let me only finish that thought. And And I agree with you that you cannot have this whatever congresswoman who shot her dog. You remember we talked about her. She is now getting she's a secretary of the inner security or whatever. That is horrible. She's from a no-go zone who shoots a fucking dog and is proud of it. Is like out of her fucking mind. And the same with Matt Gates. He was always dating minors and is a little pervert. And you see is a little pervert in a way.
That's the thing is like their character, that
Yes,
kind of stuff
yes,
bleeds into how they hold themselves in their job.
yes. And then we will see, like when we said, look, when I said he has a stronger team together as he had the last time, I stayed with it, but because of an Elon Musk looking into the efficiency, or an RFK want to make US healthy again together with that Harvard doctors, and some other people he maybe put in power who are a little more efficient as the Democratic counterparts. But I agree with you. And it's also maybe in 2 years we're sitting here and I totally regret what I said because he fired everybody who was not completely compliant with him. And then in the end, you don't have Elon Musk or Vivek or all these people or Tulsi Gabbard, they're all gone. And then it's the same like his first term, where in the end, you have only a bunch of conspiracy theorists, crazy people, because they tell him from the morning to the night that he's the greatest visionary George Washington ever lived. So
But that's
that's
the problem
that,
is that that's all
but
that's
that
going to be left.
you think that will be 100% the result. I don't want that is the result, but I think I give this a more 50-50 chance, because let's face it, he's all about the money. And if RFK is playing hardball, then the pharmaceutical industry in the US will suffer enormously under RFK. And there will be the Dow Jones, whatever that, because they're infiltrating the Dow Jones, the S&P, whatever that, it will drop. And then Trump, that is against his winner story. If the stock market is not going up, and that is against his winner story. So there will be lobby groups going to Trump and tell him RFK is full of shit and we're selling 40% less medicaments and we're going bankrupt. So, and then Trump maybe switches to the other sides and fires RFK Jr. I don't know. I really don't know.
You know what I think is going to happen? I'm just going to say with his appointees at least. He really wants those appointees pushed through, and the Senate leader will determine if there's a recess. And if there's a recess, then the Senate is not doing their jobs essentially because they'll just be pushed through without any vote. So that means Trump could fucking vote in, zippity doo dah in, and the public would never have a vote. Senate would never be the check and balance of the Senate being there is so the president doesn't vote in Vladimir Putin or somebody, just an example. I'm just saying into, Department of Defense or whatever. So if Senate just bypasses it with Trump's moral, his moral lapses, he doesn't have morality. Um, he's going to, vote in people with equally low morals. He's going to have total control over them. He will have absolute control. He will lock out the Republicans. They will no longer be in control of who they've propped up. And they will be like, oh my God, because they thought that they thought they had some sort of say, but they propped him up and they've elected a madman. So, like, basically, if a Republican says no, if they say no, I want it to go through the Senate, Elon Musk has already said that he will fund with his money um, primaries for re-election for each Republican candidate, and that they'll be replaced with Trump's men. So if that happens, then it will end up that the Senate is entirely all Trump. Our entire democracy, the Republican Party and democracy itself will be hijacked by Trump.
But what do you
Not
think?
only,
No, wait, now I want to ask you something.
yes.
Did you think Elon Musk's, what are his motives? I give you three options. Motive one,
Mm,
he just wants to make money, money, money.
mm,
Motive two, he's really shocked that one of his kids turned transgender, and then he started hating all the woke culture and the cancel culture, and really wants to completely destroy them because of this personal thing with his kid. Or
mm.
or number three, that he's actually really concerned about the future of the world, and he wants to just use his political power to move his shit forward in at the same time limit the success of his competitors. So what
Mm. You know what I think?
it's all
I
straight.
actually I actually think that Elon Musk means really well. I don't think he's a bad person.
Okay.
And I think he's smart. I think that he has a lot of money and a lot of people. He sees a lot of things and is around a lot of people that we aren't. And his experiences are different than ours. I think that he's a very humble person considering how influential he is. And I think that the weight of all of that influence must be really hard for him to manage. He is somebody that grown adults look to, and he's like not that much older than me. Like people look to him like a god. And all of it is really because of his influence, because of his money. So I don't know. His politics
It's
and
money.
his personal beliefs,
Yeah.
I he can believe whatever the fuck he wants. I don't I have to agree with him, but I do think that some of the people that are around him have led him astray. I don't think that the Mars thing is, I think that it sounds really cool in theory, in some lame brain schemy theory, but it's bullshit. And I think that the way that he's attached himself to Trump, taking apart one or two systems like the border, I agree with, but taking apart the whole system at once is a recipe for disaster. And I wish that he would look to the past and not just the moment. I wish that he really would, and not just, there are jokes, and then there's like, everybody's like, oh, Trump is Hitler, Trump is Hitler. It's because of the division that's being brought forward by him. It's like we're at a place where it's like you're either with me or against me times 200. Like people really, really aggressive with one another. And that's why I was talking about civil war. It's just because we're at a place where like it doesn't feel like it's like two different Americas. I can't even describe it to you. Um, and I just wish that it would stop. You
And
know,
there was Bill Mayer made a good thing in his discussion about it, because there was one Trump fan in the discussion round, and he said the reason that it's so calm is because Trump won. You know,
yeah,
he said, is that not a sign that Democrats are more Democrats and having their shit together, that they actually accepting the results without making a big fuss? And then the Republican woman, she said, they are recounting Philadelphia, whatever, they're recounting Michigan, whatever, they recount one or two, Pennsylvania. And and then Bill Mayer said, yeah, but they're not like calling to find votes, right?
yeah.
That's the difference. And he said if Trump would lost that election, 100%, there would be till today no winner, and it would be total mayhem, and they would not accept the election results. They would say it was all fake, it was all bullshit, and I agree. And that is the most dangerous thing for democracy, right? Like always, what Trump said, he accepts the vote if he wins. Otherwise,
Mm,
it's bullshit and fake.
yeah.
That's the thing why I'm also not like the big Trump fan. I was only a betting on him that he wins because I saw Harris is so bad. But at the same time, I think the times are, it's a different time as it was directly after COVID now. It's a lot of turmoil. You have the biggest, in a way, war in the Middle East around Israel as ever before. And you have a war in Europe, like where Russia invades a European country like the Ukraine. Uh, and you have a lot of totally unsecurity in regards of jobs and how this all will play out with AI in the future. Will I lose my job because a computer or robot will completely take it over? At the same time, you have a
And and
massive migration problem, and you have a climate change problem everywhere with natural disasters. It's a very tough time now, and people want a strong man to lead them to the tough times.
but I want to say, if Trump appoints one of his strongmen into like national security, what if Trump is, I'm just going to say this out loud. What if Trump is compromised? What if he is compromised from Russia all along? And now he's going to invite them over and truly bridge relations between the US and Russia. It'll be like a Russia an invasion of the US government from within. Like, I think that people need to fucking wake the fuck up and judge Trump based on his actions, not on political party affiliation, not just say, oh, Trump knows what he's doing. He's gonna, because the people, the internal government of how the Department of Defense, our internal systems of the defense of our country is so elaborate. That isn't that Fox News host guy that's supposed to be voted into that? That's an oh shit moment for him, I'm sure, because that's the fucking defense of our country on such on an elaborate scale. I'm sure he's not prepared to handle, nor is he trained for. And I do not trust somebody like that with the protection of our country, with the protection of diplomatic, whatever the fuck, with who, whatever they. We always have this feeling that we're protected because they do such a good job. You take away those protections, what's going to become of our country? So these are the fears. These are the fears I have. It sounds like irrational fears, but I don't trust Trump. I
Donald
don't think.
Donald Rumsfeld was also not a military man, and he was the defense minister under Reagan, right? Under Bush, you know. So it's I have to leave the dog in and out here. It's crazy. So and I think that a lot of people taking are secretaries of staff where they have no clue where they were doing something completely different before. This guy who he nominated now is very young, but he was 6, 7 years in the army. He did various terms, Afghanistan, whatever. But I mean, we all know that it's not
That's not enough, though.
no, that normally, as that we have in Germany the same problem that people are defense secretaries of defense who have no fucking clue. And that normally you should only have 4-star generals being the defense secretary of a state. You know,
Hmm.
that's the one thing. But look, I think how he will solve or not solve the Ukrainian war, because there he is kind of cornered, right? He promised to solve it. So he cannot just act like, I give a shit, I'm not doing anything about the Ukraine war. So he will do something. And I think, wait, if he's compromised, or if he turns this basically the victory to Putin in support, in stopping any support for Ukraine and say, fuck you, Zelensky, it's over. So then it's clear that Putin has something on him. So if he goes, if he tries to get a fair solution and Putin tells him, no, fuck you, and then he is forced to support the Ukraine because you cannot just take it like so. No, but what, I'm just throwing things out there, right? Like German Chancellor Scholz, who will be gone in the 3 months, he called Putin yesterday after 2 years, the first call to Putin, and he told him, "Look, let's do peace, but you have to move your troops out of Ukraine. You cannot keep parts of the country." So, I mean, I think a call like this is laughable because we all know that Putin will not do that. So this is just a rhetoric call because the people told him why we're not trying to do a peace, and so he did the call, but said something what Putin would never do. So, and that's the problem. So the thing is, we have everyday people dying. Every day, by the way, are between 2 and 3 thousand dead people in the Ukraine war. Every day, it's different as in Middle East, you know. So it's like 10 times more dead as in the Israel wars going on. It's like 10 times more. And of course, the quota is around 30% Ukrainians dying, 70% Russians dying. And I think that it's just so horrible. These are numbers like the Vietnam War on the peak had per day in deaths. You know, like on the peak of the Vietnam War, you had 2-3 thousand people dead every day, and you have maybe 100 US, 2,900 Vietnamese dead. And I think for moral reasons, we should try everything to stop that war, to stop the killing. Not about
I just want to point out one thing about Trump and Zelensky. Remember that Trump doesn't like Zelensky because of that shit with the
with
he
the
tried to get Zelensky to
right.
find stuff Hunter Biden. Yeah. So I think that Zelensky's fucked. I mean, I think that Trump is all. This is what I mean. Is like Trump is like he calls up Zelensky. He's a fucking snake oil. Yeah, we're gonna help you. We're gonna do everything we can. And on the other end, he's doing this because that's how he is. And
Yeah.
then when the time comes, the news media is going to report it as Trump did everything he could, but and they're going to either have to give up land or Ukraine's fucked completely. I bet they're just going to have to give up land because they're going to have to make it look like pretty for the
Yes.
media,
Yeah.
but Trump is going to fuck them, and that's just how it is. And I've already accepted that, and I think that he's in denial if he really takes Trump at his word, because maybe he's just that battered and beaten that he really wants to believe that Trump's got his back, and maybe there's like a 0% 1% chance that he does. But I think Trump takes shit personal. I think Trump will not forgive Zelensky for embarrassing him on a national scale.
No, he wants to go back at him, but he knows also if Putin swallows up the whole Ukraine, America looks like idiots. He cannot have that, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
would be too much. And
Yep.
what I think, my personal guess was they freeze the front line. They do kind of a ceasefire that is basically similar to what J.D. Vance proposed. But I think what will happen then is not that blue helmet soldiers getting in to protect that border. I don't think that will ever happen. What I think is this. I think that the support for Ukraine will die out, but Putin will not take the rest of Ukraine. He will just take what he has because that is what he has right now, is what he wanted. And I think that he will stop the war and just defend that border. And with the Ukraine depleted of soldiers and weapons, uh, they just cannot try to take it back. They will just
Yeah.
cannot do it. So,
And
and
if
then
Russia stops the war, it won't look like they lost. It'll be Russia's choice. So Putin will save face. That makes
yes.
sense.
So that is
Yeah.
for Putin the right way. That is indirectly for the Ukraine the right way, because they will not lose the whole country. And then we have a similar situation as what Israel has in the Golan, in the Lebanon border, the Gaza, whatever. Like Israel has a lot of, in a way, not real borders, but the borders are there where nobody was fighting anymore. So you have this kind of, nobody really knows where is that the border to Lebanon. I mean, you can see it on the map, but it's not really. So, because it shifted and then nobody did anything about it, and that is what I think. It's this kind of, that I can imagine that after a very, very costly winter coming up for both countries, all that North Korean soldiers will be wiped out in the next like 3 weeks. All the North Koreans are dead. Then he
I
gets,
feel bad for them. They're being treated like they're nothing. They're being treated like we don't
yeah,
care, you know.
totally. Like, oh look, we have to storm this trench. They're like, whatever. You guys go on, right? And but it's really what it is. They are cannon fodder, and they are not. There was never the plan that they go back to Korea, because they're very scared about the viruses, bacteria. They keep them. They're totally closed, like a jail, and they will not let them back. Now they were on the internet. It was a thing that they were porn addicted already. So stuff like this, right? So, and they will never let them back, because they could be then like the prophets coming back, telling everybody, even if
Hmm.
I was in a war in Europe, it was better. The food was better, blah, 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 blah. But I think that could actually happen. That this is the result of. So I don't think
So
that.
North Korea is so bad that the Ukraine war is better. That's funny.
Yes, and I think that they will. The question is only, will he send more, right? I mean, will he give him another 15,000 soldiers? That's the next question. And I don't know. I mean, it's like we're in like this dark room, and in Germany we have now a situation with new elections in February, and it's nearly absurd, because the Merkel party will be again leading Germany after. They will do a coalition with the Green Party or the Social Democrats, who are responsible for the completely downfall of the last 3.5 years. So, and then the AfD, who want also harder migration rules, and then they are totally outed. They're totally like the CDU guy. He said already, we're not making any cooperation with you. If you vote, if we put a law in and you vote for it, we take the law back. That is how bad it is. And that is how absurd it is. Because that is also where a lot of Germans, including myself, are completely, they think it's absurd. Let's look, you don't have to build a coalition with a party. But if you're in the parliament and you bring a law in and you want that goes through, and now you have the right corner party votes with you because they're also for that particular law, and then you say, okay, then we're not doing it. That's the most absurd thing I ever heard in my whole life. And that is exactly what the chancellor, the next chancellor of Germany, will be Merz from the CDU, what he said this week in the parliament. And since then is a lot of turmoil in social media, because now people say, no, now I'm voting AfD. Now I go right wing because that is so absurd. I don't vote them in. A lot of people would vote them in if they would cooperate with the AfD, you know. And now, as I said, they will under no circumstances cooperate with them. Now people say, okay, and then how you want to limit migration? It will not happen. It will continue. How, and Merz wants to send to Ukraine as the first act. He said that when I'm chancellor, I sent them our Taurus. That is our big bombs, right? So the Taurus is like the best middle range rocket you can buy, and because you cannot shoot it down with drones, whatever, it has a defense mechanism, and he wants to deliver to the Ukraine this bombs who you can shoot into Moscow from Ukraine. So
Yeah.
that's for me a reason I could never vote for him. We can never have that guy. If he
Well,
delivers the Taurus to Russia, I have to go back to Canada because that the risk of triggering a third world war, because it's a
yeah.
massive bombs, right? So you can
Mm,
bomb the Kremlin away with this, and that is like where you feel like, and you could do nuclear, but you also can just shoot them as normal without nuclear warhead. But I mean, it's insane. If even
well,
about delivering these weapons is completely insane.
I think as much as I hate Trump, I seriously believe that once he's office, that the war is going to end. I really think so. I think because I believe that he is corrupt. I think he is in talks with Putin. I think they're buddy buddy. I think that they've been helping each other the whole time. And I think it's just gonna fucking happen because it's gonna look great for Trump. He's gonna be like, see, I told you so. I did it on day one, or something fucking stupid like that. So get ready because it's gonna happen. And there's gonna be no tower roasts. You're gonna be fine. I bet. I mean, let's make a bet. How much? $20? Like,
$20 no, I want to bet for Trump that too, that the Ukraine war.
okay, well, I think he's gonna do it too. So like we don't even have to place the
No,
bet
no, but
because I
look, we both bet for the same thing, but you say he's doing it till the end of January, and I say he's doing it before Christmas.
oh no, 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 no. He has to be voted in. He's not gonna be voted in until what? Feb what is it?
No,
What
January
is it?
6th. January
Is
6th.
it? But when does his actual powers start? There's like a day. Um,
Inauguration day.
is it inauguration day?
I
I
don't know.
don't know, man. But let me look it up. Let me look it up. Hold on a sec. I should know this shit. When president.
January 20 at
Okay.
January 20 at noon.
Okay, so I bet you by the end of that week, I bet you by the end of the week, what do you think?
You mean so you say January 25.
Oh, yeah, I'll say that.
Okay, and I say February 5. So who's closer to it gets the $20.
See, it's like that game show. What is it? Where they pick the numbers. So here we go, guys. Who's going to be the closest to when Trump will end the Ukraine war, or will it keep going? I hope it doesn't keep going. So we're gonna mark this moment, and hopefully, we'll have a great New Year next year with a no war. I mean, I will commend Trump if he does end that war. You know.
Last subject matter. Did you watch Jake Paul against Mike Tyson on Netflix?
I didn't buy it because I didn't want to fucking contribute money to
Oh,
that
it
shit.
was for free on Netflix.
Was oh
Yes.
y-
And then the internet broke apart. We got up at 6 a.m. to watch it, and then it was like the circle saying we have connection problems because of course everybody was watching it, all the Netflix subscribers, and nobody watched the fight live basically. So we had to uh, at breakfast first, and then when the fight was over, you could watch it, but not live. That was for Netflix an absolute disaster because there was a live event in Houston in the big stadium. 80,000 people watched it, and you feel like, okay, if Netflix wants to go in live sports, it's like we show the Super Bowl, but 2 hours after it's over. I mean, you cannot do this, right? A live streaming has to work when you push the button.
yeah, that's what I thought. Because usually the pay ones, you get it because you're fucking paying for it. You're gonna get it. So I thought it was gonna be $50, and I was like, nah. So if it costs a little extra to guarantee that you're gonna get it, I'd rather just fucking pay.
But you didn't
And
miss out because it was kind of boring. And uh, I said before, if Tyson doesn't knock him out in 2 rounds, Tyson will get tired. He's 58, and then uh, Paul will win, and he won with points. And I think he felt for Tyson, it's his idol, and he didn't went hard after him. I think the last 2 rounds or 3 rounds, Jake Paul could went for it and tried to knock out Tyson because he was so tired, but he didn't, and that made him sympathetic to me because you should not do this, right? You should not have a 58 years old guy, then you pummel him into the ground. You're 27, and that was good that he let him survive. But
yeah,
I
we didn't need a Rocky. What is it, Rocky 3? When Apollo Creed got killed?
and he dies against Dolph Lundgren, drunk
Yeah.
against Ivan Drago. He kills him, and I think that was a good step. But of course, boxing wise, it was an absolute disaster. And I would be very happy if Jake Paul would box a real world class boxer in his next fight,
Like in his own age range, you mean?
his own age range, who is an actual world champ, to just see then the difference between
Mm.
you're an influencer who trains very hard, he's very fit, very hard for 4 or 5 years, or you are a guy who was with 6 or 7 years old in the ring and you had an amateur career and professional career. Um, that will be a very bad awakening for him. And
Yeah, he's got a big ego. You saw how he acted at that press conference when Tyson slapped him. There's going to be a lot of people lining up to fight him, and I bet you it's not going to be long before he gets knocked the fuck out in the ring, you
no,
know?
I agree, and that fight I want to watch some, and but Netflix has to get. I mean, the Netflix servers normally are very, very good. That when you click a film on, boom, it comes. It's like at Amazon, it's slower. Uh,
And this is exactly why your point about there needs to be an HBO boxing still.
yes,
It's
oh,
sorely missed, right?
that is the thing. What I don't know why Warner put the plug on HBO boxing. I cannot imagine that they lost money with it, and it's also now they could, what the Zone is doing. They could make deals with the Saudis because they're promoting boxing like crazy and spend so much money. So the HBO was the best channel. It looked the best, the director were good, like they really know how to show a boxing fight, and they had the best experts, Jim Lampley and so on. They were like the boxing history people there, right? Larry Merchant, whatever. And when they put the plug on this was absolutely shocking for me as a box fan. I just couldn't believe it that they would do this. I thought if then maybe Showtime stops it, because they were always the secondary. HBO was here and Showtime was here, and you felt like, okay, maybe they go out of boxing at one point, right? And then they stayed, and HBO pulled the plug. That I mean, I could not, I, I could not believe it. And no, yeah, good. It is what it is. We will see. There will be a lot of, as David Sassler from Warner said, now where Trump is in power, there will be a lot of consolidation. Like they think that there will be now faster studios getting merging and whatever, but I don't know.
Oh no. So you mean that the industry is going to shrink even more?
Yes,
Ugh.
that's what my feeling is. And because let's say you do HBO Max together with Paramount Plus, together with Hulu, together with Peacock, together with, so they form one, right? So what will happen then? In the beginning, they stay individual, and then it will be just Netflix too. It will be like, and then they produce less because they don't need so much product. Like when they stop like the individual thing, go Paramount Plus, you have TV series, you have
So
horror.
so wait, do you think that there'll come a point where they will be relying solely on their legacy content and their portfolio content, and that the industry will just slow down to a complete halt because they'll have so much content in their libraries, they'll only need to produce like a couple of productions a year?
I think there will, then you will have like, if you have a consolidation to this, what I just said, you would have like, it goes from 100 TV series down to 10,
Oh
right?
no. This is what I'm fearing. This is
Yeah,
no
and then
good.
like 120 movies a year on this conglomerate. You go to 20 movies, and they're all with The Rock and Ryan Reynolds, right? It's like that's what's left then, and uh, and then you have this, what we talked in the very beginning of today about. Then you have this kind of pot, like this rich people who say, okay, I finance this film, whatever, and then they have the little art house films in between because people just do it. But it's horrible. What film I watched yesterday again? The Warriors, the old,
Oh, that's great. From the 70s.
yes, from Walter Hill, because it was in
Yeah.
Paramount Plus, right? Paramount Plus has a lot of old films, and
The
I
Warriors, I think that takes place like in like New York, does
New
it?
York. Yeah,
It's like
but
my old
all the
neighborhood,
gangs,
right? Yeah.
you have all that gangs who meet in the Bronx, and then the boss of all that gangs who said we all have to work together gets shot on stage, and then they blame the Warriors, and they have to try to go back to Coney Island where they came from, and then have to go to Union Square, and nothing works. It's nighttime New York. Uh, a little like Escape from New York style, but a little more like, it's not like on the production level as Escape from New York was, but it has something. It has that rawness. You have like the roller skater gang, then you have the like people there have this fast the like baseball players. They have a baseball as weapons. They all try to get them and fight them, and they're fighting them off, and the police tries to get them, and uh, it's a chase basically the whole film, and it's rough, and the dialogue is rough. Also how it was like in New York in the 70s and 80s. It will be interesting for you to watch it, because how did you see how run down New York looks, right? It was still a fucked
Yeah,
up.
no, growing up in New York, it really was like certain films capture what it used to look like. Some of them are embellishments. Um, yeah, and I mean, there's some films I remember watching, like Ghostbusters, Last Action Hero, believe it or not.
Oh yeah,
That captures the 90s. There's some other films where you can see a lot of real New York monuments. Trying to remember that one with Will Smith. I Am
well,
Legend. That was
I'm
a
like,
lot of Midtown.
there's all,
Uh, and it's funny. There was a lot of real landmarks in that film. Like at the time, they were going to make some Batman movie called Batman versus Superman Flyby, and you'll see a poster for it in the background of Times Square in the I Am Legend film that was supposed to promote this upcoming Warner Brothers film that never got filmed, which I think is bizarre. But yeah, no, that New York is a very expensive film to film in. Vanilla Sky, they shut down Times Square for 2 hours to get Tom Cruise running through Times Square. They spent $10 million to shut down for 2 hours in the very early hours of the morning. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning. Um, and that just shows you how expensive it is to shoot in New York. And to get those permits, to get all that shit, like you say, the unions, it's made it so that's why the new Ghostbusters, the reboot Ghostbusters, didn't even shoot in New York City. It shot on a set. And that's why, and in Chicago, I didn't like it as much because it didn't have as much heart. It didn't feel like the heart of the city. I loved the Ghostbusters because it was like, wow, I've been there when I was a kid. The Warriors, yeah, and other ones, West Side Story. I mean, I know some of that's on a set, but it's
The
nice to see some of
Wanderer,
these.
you
What's
remember
that?
The Wanderers with Michael Paré. There was another
Oh,
similar to
okay.
and here look, I copied you on it. Like Seth May, the actor who was in the first shift, when he emailed me, saw the film with my mom. She's 83 and was
Yes, no, I saw that, and I agree with him 100% because the movie does capture the heart of the city. There's some beautiful shots in First Shift of the sun and the cityscape, and really, I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't be so hard to say the soul of the city is gone, but they're probably right because the city doesn't feel the same way it used to feel. Like the porn. He's right. I grew up right down the street from there. I grew up in Hell's Kitchen, and it was a rough place. It was a tough place that did feel like Taxi Driver or whatever, or those
what
old.
you Midnight Cowboy. That was also a total New York film with
Mhm.
Dustin Hoffman.
And it's funny because there are films that are filmed today. Like I saw, don't even ask me why I saw this, but I saw Step Up 3D, the movie about the dancers. And it's about dancers who go to New York City. And there's a scene where they're driving through Times Square. They're out of the car, out of the window, going, "Yeah, New York, I'm finally here." And in reality, they had to shut down Times Square to. They had like all this shit because there's all these bleachers in the streets now, all this commercial shit that blocks off these roads. They had to remove all that stuff to give the illusion that New York was still the way that it was when that street is, you know what I mean? Just for the movie. So people who watch these movies think, wow, that's New York. And then you get there and it's like fucking McDonald's, Burger King, Toys R Us, bullshit. And the soul, that's what he probably means by the soul is gone. So your film, wonderful, beautifully shot.
Yeah, look, I want to read it quick here for the audience. A lot of the shots were both gritty and beautiful at the same time. I feel like you not only captured New York City, but a very special and specific time it's going through, the after COVID, right? I thought it really captures this unique time after COVID when the soul of the city has been beaten out of it. Related to Deo a lot. The line about Times Square being better with the porn, what a great line. I was like, fuck yeah. And that was the soul of New York City. As an acting teacher, my students come here looking for Taxi Driver, Midnight Cowboys, Times Square, and find a giant mall that looks like Disneyland meets Vegas. I say the same thing. It was better with the porn. I think it would be a great series, and I think Willie Carpenter would make a great wisdom character. And having Tango bringing humanity back to dog, it gives them a way to communicate episode to episode as he walks Tango, meet up with the old man. I was really happy with my bit with Willie too. It's most relaxed and Edith's performance on film ever. I'm so glad we made that happen. The chemistry between the two main characters was outstanding, and I really like the strength of the woman in charge of the department. So I really hope that the film will do good on Showtime. I mean, it's everywhere besides Netflix. All the other streamers basically show it, but I hope
There's
so.
two things that people need to enjoy that film. Number one, they need emotional maturity because a lot of people shoot it down because of the comments like that are not even politically incorrect. They're just like what they are.
Yeah,
Like people take offense at just about anything these days. They're looking for any reason to shoot the film down. Give the film a fucking chance. Don't go into the film with your arms crossed with a political lens to try and shoot it down. Just take it for what it is. And don't be immature going in. That's immature shit. That's number one. Number two, people need to go in not expecting it necessarily to be an action film. What do you think?
exactly. It's like when people said, "Oh, it's lame," whatever. No, that film is a drama, a cop drama with a lot of humor and a dog. And it shows also, like when I read one review, they say no, the side stories were not like fulfilling or developed, whatever. There's a mafia killing, there's a guy got a heart attack, whatever. Yeah, because if you retards would read the title of the film, it's First Shift. So what you're expecting, if you follow two cops to their first shift together, what film should flesh out endlessly the side stories? You have to focus on the main story. The main story is you follow these guys through like a 10, 12-hour shift. And
Yeah.
not like you cannot tell the mafia killing backstory back of the last 2 years, how they screwed each other over. Then you have a different film, and that made me sometimes, sometimes it's so disappointing to see what some reviewers write, because they don't think it through. It's not like Brooklyn Mafia. If the film's name would be Brooklyn Mafia, it's a different thing, right? But if you have a first shift, it's all about the two characters who, on the surface, don't get along, hate each other, whatever, but then they turn into a team. That's the story. And all the little stories is actually, I think, very realistic to a first shift. You cannot have in the first shift like the biggest case ever, and on their first shift they solving the Watergate scandal or what. I mean, what the fuck,
I would like to compare First Shift, and people out there are going to laugh about this, but I really think that I would like to compare First Shift to David Lynch Mulholland Drive. Now, people accept this film and they praise it. It's
Yeah,
about two women. Um, one is like, it doesn't matter, the two women, actress, and the other one's like imagination of, but you don't know that. But the rest of the film is the characters that they encounter in Hollywood, all the various characters in various places, and those characters' stories are just kind of there.
yes.
And they're there and they're meant as placemats for an unfilmed TV show. You know what I mean? So that's exactly what I feel when I see First Shift. I see two main characters, just like Mulholland Drive, the crazy characters, the craziness, individual things around them. And if you wanted to see it more fleshed out, not only it be more of their stories, or maybe these characters might come back, or who knows, maybe it could be like CSI where they're each individual episodes. But the film itself, I look at like a Mulholland Drive, where it could be repurposed. Uh, you know, uh, People need to give it a chance in that kind of a way. You know what I mean?
What's interesting is, I think you made a good point, that the style of the films is totally different, but so is LA and New York.
Hmm.
LA Mulholland Drive is this kind of like this kind of, you feel like transcendent in the like dream atmosphere, endless roads, dark parts of the city, and everybody is almost working in slow motion, because that is LA. You can do only 2 meetings a day in LA, because everything is an endless drive and stuff like this. And then you have the New York. In our film, it's so hectically vibrant, loud. You hear the sirens 24/7, basically, in New York. And that's New York, right? And I think that the characterization of a city is very, very nicely catched in both films.
I
Now,
think, although I would like to see your version of a satire of the Hollywood system in LA, I mean, someday I would love to see you do a film like that. I don't know what it would be like, but you should think about that because you've done New York, you've never done LA. And I
that's,
think you have a lot to say about Hollywood, right?
yeah, not positive things. So better than
It'd be like Showgirls, because Verhoeven wanted to make a Showgirls too. He wanted Nomi to go to Hollywood, but and he wrote a treatment for it, but obviously Showgirls bombed, so they never filmed it. But that's a great fucking idea.
Okay, we stop it for today. Have a good one. Bye
Yeah, it's been good. You take care of yourself, all right?
bye. Bye bye.